My name is Julia Robinson and I'm talking today about Beatrice, the work I made for the Adelaide Biennial Monster Theatres. Beatrice is housed in the Museum of Economic Botany in the Adelaide Botanic Gardens, and she responds both to Lee Rob's curatorial premise as well as that actual site, the building. Beatrice is a conflation of a number of sources. She responds to my favourite monster of all time, Scylla, who is referred to in Homer's Odyssey. Once a beautiful nymph, she was turned into a hideously tentacled monster who is now contained in the caves and has an insatiable appetite. But equally, Beatrice responds to a short Gothic story by Nathaniel Hawthorne called Rappuccini's Daughter. This story describes Beatrice as the toxic sister to a poisonous plant that is housed in a garden in Padua. She was created by her father Rappuccini alongside her sister, and they both live in the garden together, and they both are equally toxic to anyone who touches them or comes near them. So I was responding in particular to this idea that Beatrice is perceived as the monster of the story, but in actual fact, clearly the father, Rappuccini, who created her, is the real monster of this particular narrative. And so Beatrice sort of taps into the broader narratives of the contained woman or the dangerous woman as she appears in literature often. I always use fabric in my work. I've used fabric and costuming techniques for a number of years now, as I really find that fabric's a beautiful material through which I can communicate. Beatrice is a kind of hybrid plant-woman costume form contained within the Museum of Economic Botany. She is only glimpsed at first through the gaps in the exhibition space, and as you enter, you're introduced to her full form, her full kind of body, which I wanted to be sort of alive and writhing and kind of active in the space, almost as though she could burst free of her exhibition space. The work uses a lot of historical costume techniques, particularly from the Tudor Elizabethan era, so there's kind of techniques of slashing and kind of slitting, undersides of fabric pulled through, and Beatrice is primarily in the palette of purples and browns. This refers back to the text Rappuccini's Daughter. Beatrice is described as always wearing purple and her sister is always dressed in purple, so the work responds to that. So one of the things I was drawn to about the story of Beatrice is that she is considered this poisonous woman, this toxic woman, and everything she touches, she kills essentially. So when I was looking at the Museum of Economic Botany, I was drawn to the poisons cabinet. I'm particularly interested in that because the definition of plants as poisonous is a kind of human-centric principle. They're only really poisonous in relation to us. And similarly, Beatrice is kind of defined as poisonous because of the way her father invented her, if you like. So there is a poisonous plant called belladonna or monkshood, also called aconite, and I believe that Nathaniel Hawthorne was probably responding to that in defining Beatrice as this purple plant woman because that is the colour of belladonna and aconite. And in the Museum of Economic Botany there's a beautiful aconite root, which is very much the kind of shapes that you see in the work Beatrice as well. Of course, in this current situation, these unique times for us all, as Beatrice has become sort of strangely current again. She is now, of course, quarantined in the Museum of Economic Botany, which seems to kind of be her fate, if you like. She has kind of gone into isolation in the same way that the character Beatrice in Rappuccini's Daughter is locked in her garden, and ultimately, as a tragic figure, she dies, essentially. We're hoping, obviously, that Beatrice here is going to continue beyond this, but yeah, currently she's in isolation, which seems strangely relevant for the times we're in.